Hi, I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with two of my friends, Tony Bryan and Alan Berry, both associated with CyberUp. Tony is the executive director. Alan is the president of the board, as well as being the CISO over at Centene. And we're here to talk about CyberUp. Tony, Alan, welcome. Glad to see you both.
Thanks, Ed.
Good to see you guys. Tony, we'll start with you. Why don't you give us a little summary of the organization, what you guys are trying to achieve, what you've been doing. I think it's a fascinating group, and I'm hoping people will enjoy hearing your summary.
Yeah, so Tony Bryan, I am the executive director again, as Ed just said, I'm for CyberUp. We're a national nonprofit. We are headquartered in the middle of the country in St. Louis, Missouri. Our mission is to cultivate the cybersecurity talent pipeline for today and tomorrow. Our organization, we advocate, create, and reimagine pathways into equitable technology careers from teens to adults. Our skill building programs cultivate the cybersecurity talent pipeline, and then through apprenticeships, we do simplify the finding talent for companies and make that a much easier way for them to onboard some more bright people.
Tony, is it mostly people right out of school, or it could be mid-career? What's the typical profile, if there is a typical profile of the student?
I mean, I would say our bread and butter has been a lot of those career transitioners, right? Over the past couple of years with COVID, there have been a lot of people displaced and looking for what is that next thing. And there are lots of great options out there for individuals to find that next step, whether it's a community college or four-year program, or oftentimes a master's program. A lot of times that requires funding and money. It requires, time and a longer timeline and commitment financially for that individual. And they might not be able to forego going to work and having that. So our program is free for individuals to participate. For adults, it provides a really solid stack of training and credentials from A+, CompTIA, A+, Net+, and Security+. And then we do a great job of professional development, LinkedIn readiness, resume readiness, interview skill and prep. So it gives that person the confidence when they do have conversations with employers. That leads to their registered apprenticeship, where they are getting paid. They're working full time for that company, and they continue to get additional mentorship and another industry recognized credential during their 1-year time period.
Are there any sort of minimum background requirements that you have, or experience or skills requirements? What do you normally tell people when they approach you guys?
So only requirement is 18 and the ability to work in the United States. There isn't a degree requirement. Now, to say that there aren't precursors or predictors of individual success, right? So having some familiarity with technology is always helpful. And I think in 2022, it's really hard for that not to be the case. But beyond just kind of basic PowerPoint skills, so having some familiarity of that will definitely help that person in their success throughout the program.
That's fantastic. Alan, what was it that attracted you to the organization? You got a full-time job, very busy guy running security at Centene. What was the attraction?
Well, it was just the need for more talent. At the end of the day, hiring folks is always a challenge in this space. And there's lots of articles about there's this giant skills gap. I don't really believe it's a skills gap. It's really a lack of a connection from where the talent is to where the job is. And CyberUp helps us bridge that. So we are constantly just looking for the next person. And to Tony's point a minute ago, what I care about is, are they curious? Are they energetic? Are they a little paranoid? In security, you need to be a little paranoid and think everything's a threat. And if you have those three skills, we'll teach you the rest. We really will. And then the second part, really, Ed, was a recognition that I can't just buy experienced talent. That's not a responsible member of the cybersecurity ecosystem. I have to help train talent. I have to grow some of that talent. And so you need to have an entry-level program. No matter what kind of company you are, if you're not also training entry-level individuals in this space, you're not really helping out the community at large. So this was an area where I could do that.
I'm glad you did. Now, Tony, you mentioned apprenticeships. Tell me a little bit about that program. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, so apprenticeship has been around, for years, right? It's not a new concept by any means, but it's traditionally been focused on I won't say focused, perceived as not, traditional kind of trade jobs, carpenter, electrician, um, painters, and those type of roles. What we have found, and to Alan's point, there's a really large need for employers to reimagine how they're hiring folks, right? Like college recruitment is fantastic, right? It's really hard to compete with college kids, but an apprenticeship model allows and builds a pipeline of talent that goes 365 days a year. It doesn't always just center around summer or internship type of opportunities. So we were the third program created in the country about 4 or 5 years ago. The United States has made a massive investment into the idea of apprenticeship over the last several years. I would say, well over $1 billion of just trying to grow this as an idea and encourage companies like Centene and others to look at how they're hiring. So we keep it simple. Apprenticeship is really 3 core components: a job where somebody's earning a livable wage, mentorship where it's not solely on that hiring manager to be responsible for that individual because they're all busy, right? It's really hard sometimes to hire, or there's a fear of hiring that entry-level person. And then the third is related training instruction. Just like if I am a carpenter, I'm working Monday through Friday, maybe on the weekends I'm spending at a trade school learning some skills. We also do that and provide additional certification for our employers that is customizable. If there are specific tracks that they want that individual to go down, we can help create a curriculum for that particular role.
So employers, there's a lot of benefit here. These apprenticeships can really be quite useful, I would imagine, in areas that traditionally are hard to. So in a minute we'll get to how companies and others can contact you folks. I hope people will stay with us. We'll give them some practical information about that. Now, you guys also do something called cyber games. Tell me how that works, Tony.
Yeah, so we viewed this, right? There are 600,000 open roles currently, and that number is predicted to grow to 1.5 million, 2 million, if not more, over the next 5 to 10 years. We didn't want to look at this talent pipeline, right, as really just a short-term idea, right? I heard a statistic a couple years ago that our country is graduating about 10,000 computer science students a year, right? So if we simply do the math and divide 600,000 by 10,000, it's going to take us several years to fill that talent pipeline. So we found that it was important to get in front of middle school and high school students early and often and say, hey, this is a really great field. Here's a fun way for you to learn and gain practical hands-on skills, the same things that industry professionals do, with an intent that we want to incentivize or encourage students to find community college 4-year programs. We all know that there are kids that college is an option and there are students that college is not an option. So we want to be able to promote what pathways make sense for them. So PowerUp Cyber Games is a monthly cybersecurity competition. It runs throughout the school year. We have found that it is a great complement to a school that already has a computer science program. It's a great kickoff to a cybersecurity for a school that doesn't have any type of computer science. It's a standalone curriculum and cyber gym that they get access to. And it's also great in an after school type of environment. It starts in middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, depending on the school, goes all the way through high school. We partner with National Cyber League. They are a collegiate level competition. So we want our students, right? We position it as an entry level competition and we want to get those students in, encourage them to grow their skills and eventually graduate to a National Cyber League. So we've built a competition framework for, a 10, 12-year period for middle school all the way through college.
That's fantastic. What a wonderful program. Now, Alan, you and I work in industry, so I want you to give a little bit of a pep talk and maybe some information for folks who are listening who might like to participate as sponsors. Now, is it usually the HR team, the CISO, a hiring manager? Like where's the best place for a company to engage and how do they typically engage?
I really think the security team needs to be the primary engagement. The HR folks typically don't understand apprenticeships. You're lucky if they do. They think it's an internship. And you have to spend a lot of time showing them how it's different. This is not a 12-week summer program like Tony mentioned. This is real work from day one, doing the job. You're just learning on the job as an apprentice with the hopes of graduating into, the journeyman craftsman kind of pipeline. And one of the things that we do with CyberUp is it's not just Russian roulette. You don't just get an apprentice. You interview 2, 3, 4 apprentices based on what you say the need is. So if you need somebody to help in vulnerability management, you give that to us. You tell us what the job requirements are. We can look at the apprentices that are in the program, find the ones that are best suited for what you're asking for, and then you interview them. And most companies hire them as a contract right to hire model. So they're contractors on CyberUp books on our payroll. We pay them. We pay all their payroll taxes and their benefits and everything else. So there's less risk to the company. It's at a very affordable rate because we're a nonprofit. We're not trying to gouge a company and make a lot of money out of this. We just need to keep the lights on so we can train the next apprentice. And then after 90 days or later, if you're really happy with this individual, they're doing great, and you want to convert them to an FTE and pull them off our books, that is a success story for us. We don't view that as a negative. We think of that as a success story because we've placed another apprentice into the full-time job market.
It almost sounds too good to be true. And I really, when I heard about what you guys were doing, that's why I'd asked that we chat, because it's a wonderful resource. I can't imagine why, organizations wouldn't be in touch with you. Tony, with people who are on the other side of this, say participants who might like to come in and become an apprentice, what's that experience like, and what would be the first step for them to be in touch with you guys?
Best first step is always to visit our website. We have a really well put together page that's specific if you are a company who's listening to this and are interested in hiring, or if you're an individual looking to get into it, kind of pick your path. We have recurring training courses that go on, and we deliver that in 2 ways. There's either a virtual self-paced model that runs throughout the year. It's perfect. There's no cost. And it's perfect for somebody who's working full time and really wants to, expand their skill set while they're working and then eventually jump into an apprenticeship. Or we also have live instructor-led classes that we do, and those are typically sponsored. We did one with Centene and Charlotte, specific for veterans and mill spouses. But the website lists those classes, and you sign up. The first step is an info session where we kind of lay out what the program and the requirements and expectations are for each individual who's going through. There is an assessment that individual takes, and then they're off to the races. That happens generally. I think our virtual self-paced will have 4 in 2022, and then we'll have 4 live instructor-led. Our class sizes for in-person are generally between 15 and 25. Virtual self-paced, it can go up to 100 or 200 because it's pretty labor not intensive for us for that virtual self-paced.
If you could just say the URL for people who might be just listening to audio or might be not able to video, what is the URL they should visit?
So our website is wecyberup.org, and shameless plug, all of our socials are wecyberup as well. And then from there, the left-hand navigation there, it'll either give you a link to Power Up Cyber Games or Apprenticeship, and those 2 will help you and get you started where you need to go.
The last stakeholder group that I want to target here would be those who provide funding. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how maybe we got some really rich people or some organizations listening who might like to become maybe not so much apprenticeship sponsors, but might like to help your group. What would be the process for them helping you guys out with this amazing program?
Yeah, so incredible sponsors like Centene and others, right, and Boeing, and many have invested in our organization, have allowed us to, really provide free skill building for individuals, whether that is a youth or an adult. That is an important part of where we're at, right? It's free, equitable pathways and skill building for everybody. If you're interested in getting involved, whether it be from a hiring standpoint or a sponsorship standpoint, or just, you have a student who wants to get into Power Up Cyber Games, you can contact me directly. I'm pretty accessible. My email is tony@wecyberup.org. It's pretty easy to remember. but would love to have your support. You know, we have a very important mission. When you boil this down, it's beyond just talent. You know, there is a national and corporate importance of this stuff. We're not just building widgets, we're protecting networks and countries and things. So you know, having 600,000 open roles is not great. So, you know, we need to rally as many people as we can to really grow this workforce and hit as close to full employment as we can.
Well, on behalf of my team at Tag Cyber and my group over at NYU and all the people watching, I want to thank you both. Tony, thank you for the work that you're doing here. This is important, and it's just wonderful that you guys have set this up. Alan, thanks to you and the team over at Centene. I hope other companies will follow suit and provide comparable assistance. And I want to thank you guys both for spending some time. Alan, thank you. Tony, thank you. Appreciate the time.
It was our pleasure. Thanks, Ed.
Good to see you both. And for everyone else, I hope you'll reach out to the website and get involved. It's a good group. And we will see you in our next discussion.